I'll give a few examples that all go on this premise that our commitment to this is true, as with everybody here, but the best places where you see it show up is when you get it wrong and fix it. So I'm going to give you 3 examples of getting it wrong and fixing it. The first of those is the Rosh Hashanah conversation. So that moment happened. We did our best to resolve it because literally the meeting was going to happen anyway. But from that moment, there has been organizational energy and passion and commitment to adjust the future dates tied to that meeting so that they do not conflict with Rosh Hashanah. And that is not the work of the Office of D&I. That is the work of the groups that own the meeting. Right? And then continuing to try to make sure that to those people who are planning, a calendar that is inclusive of multiple faiths is available as those kinds of meeting plannings are happening so that we avoid that conflict. But we have successfully been able to figure out, at least through 2021, Angie, that we have looked at that meeting and trying to avoid all conflicts. Thing 1. Thing 2 is related to a long-standing unspoken tension between our LGBT ERG and our Christian ERG. And for many years, there was this tension around automatically against each other. You know this, Bradley, right? And it wasn't anything spoken or done. It was a lot of assumptions that had the LGBT council questioning everything the Christian council did as if it was anti-LGBT. And the Christian group saying it's not and trying to manage that reputation. Over the last couple of years, as the leadership of both organizations has changed, I would say that relationship is in the healthiest place it's ever been, without either having to compromise the authenticity of what they stand for, but yet not automatically assuming that they sit against each other, demystifying that being Christian is not being anti-LGBT. There's no correlation there. Individual values are individual values, but by being a Christian, you're not automatically anti. And can we talk about the people who live in that intersection? And so there's been a lot of work done to heal what that relationship has looked like. And then the last one is related to space. So we have the leaders from all 3 of our faith ERGs here with us today. Our Muslim network has been extremely focused, similar to you, on teaching the components of what their practices are to the organization, right? So that there's understanding and inclusion acumen around how to coexist. What is Ramadan is an event they've done in others, which has been fantastic. But in our business spaces, you have something like Minnesota has the largest Somali population outside of Somalia, if you didn't know that. And so the workforce in Minnesota specifically has high representation from that community. We have distribution centers where we use temp services and seasonal workers to help us with peak. Those groups are highly representative of the Somali community, so they come into our distribution center to help us with peak season, and then there's a tension between the groups because they want to take their 5 times a day to pray and other components, and on a distribution floor, you only get a break every 6 hours, right? And so you have this conflict, and they're not our employees. So do we accommodate when they're not ours? Is our commitment about our space agnostic of what your role is in our space? So that led to a ton of work to create places for prayer on the dock in the distribution center, safe things for women of Muslim faith to wear so that the looseness of the clothing did not create safety concerns, but also meant that we needed to do some work to help the remainder of the population understand, because we would put things like little canisters to wash feet in the bathrooms, and we had team members that were slicing the bottom open so that the water wouldn't stay in there just because they didn't know what to do with this new faith thing that's come into their space. And so the work to create healthy cultures to activate that. So yes, we have all this strategic stuff, but I will tell you, the work comes in being committed, trying, failing, learning, fixing.